In this episode, our war on rust begins. Now, my goal for this episode is to remove these rusty floor pans in this rotted out torsion bar crossmember. So the first thing that I'd like to do is I'd like to get in here and kind of figure out what needs to be replaced and what doesn't. So my driver's side floor pans are really not all that horrible. I mean, we have some rust here where the torsion bar crossmember comes across, and we've got some rust up here by the frame rail. Maybe a little crusty here in the kick pan, who knows? We've got a decent hole here. We should just be able to make up a little patch for this. At least that's what I've got in mind for right now. Now our passenger side, it's a bit more chewy. Again, we've got the spot in the torsion bar crossmember. Also got a fair amount of rot starting to poke through here and definitely here around the transmission tunnel. And this is all really, really thin. Got more starting to poke through here and poke through here. It's also this spot here where our floor pan meets our rocker. So I spent a little time trying to figure out the best way to clean this up. Kind of hit this area with a wire wheel. These areas here were actually hit with a surface conditioning tool, as well as this spot over here. And to keep them from completely rusting out in the meantime, I went ahead and wiped just a little bit of phosphoric acid over them. And hopefully that works. I think my first order of business is going to be to get all of this cleaned up and see just how bad the rust is, how thin the metal is, and that way I know exactly what it is that I have to replace. I'm going to start that process just with a drill and a wire brush. Now that I got this cleaned up a little bit, I got a pretty good idea. Not that I didn't beforehand, but a pretty good idea that this whole thing needs to be replaced. And I take my body hammer and test this and make sure that this is still thick enough to stay in place and I don't have to run a patch here because I don't want to. That might be a little beyond my scope at this point, but we'll see. If it needs to be done, maybe we'll just figure it. Almost dropped an F-bomb. We'll just figure it out. Now on our driver's side here, we've already got our wire run pulled out. So we need to do the same thing with our passenger side here. We'll be back to our trusty quarter drill and a couple of spot weld cutter bit things there. This thing, the inside of the channel is filled with seam sealer. So we're gonna get that off too. This one's already broken, so is that one. So just a wire brush doesn't seem to be doing the trick on this side. It is much thicker on this side than it was on the other side. One moment, please. Alrighty. Yes, much better. I don't need to remove it all. I just want to get it out of the way and open up my spot welds. That guy right there. And last, but certainly not least, this guy. I'm just going to take and brush all that crap out of there. That way, I get to my spot welds. Now I know where my spot welds are, let's get to cutting. So I'm going to start by finding the center of my spot weld, hitting it a few times with a center punch, just to give me a spot to give this little point something to sit in, just like so. We fire her up. Just like that, it pops right off. Of course, that was the one that was already broken. So, good job, bonehead. Go ahead and bang the rest of these out. The rest of these, they just popped right off. Sometimes they don't want to, so you just gotta give them a little help. Get under. Ta-da! And with that, that part's done. Next, I want to get an idea of how sturdy this is. To do that, I'm gonna use my body hammer. And as you can see, it went right through it. That is not what I wanted to see. Might as well check the rest of it. See what we got to replace. I already don't have enough metal. Yay. Now what I'm doing here is I'm running from the top down so that I can see where my good metal starts, which is about right here in this area. See, it's not doing that. By doing this, I can see how far up the tunnel I need to go and if I have enough metal. So I found a couple of other spots here. Kind of punched right through, little thin. This is small. This is a little bigger. So I kind of have an idea of how far back I need to go. Now I need to get my floor pan and see if it'll cover all that. So here's my not at all fancy passenger side floor pan. Laying it in here loosely kind of shows me that I actually have enough to cover the floor pan portion. We're probably going to have to figure something out for that bad boy. I think next I want to take and mark around the floor pan so I get a general idea of how high up I can go. Now I do understand once we get the old floor out, this new floor is going to drop down so we won't be able to go quite as high up. Now that I've got a general idea of how far I can go, I kind of know where my rot stops, which is about this line here. So I'm probably going to come down and cut out there. I will bring it all the way up to the firewall, but basically I'm going to come in from this line all the way around until we get to the rocker panel here, which probably going to just zip it along here and then figure out how to get that off after the fact. So now just trust the angle grinder and a cutoff wheel and see what we can do here. And in case you're wondering, the fuel line has been removed. Oh. Yeah. Pay attention. That rung the bell. I'll be back in a minute. Hi! Our first chunk of floor pan out. And be glad you can't smell this. This, cute. I don't know if it was just my zeal for cutting everything out or what, but I did not realize the floor pan was spot welded to this bracket as well. I also maybe cut that a little bit, but that's okay. We can weld that back up. That part's in decent condition. This nice little hole, we're probably gonna have to make a patch for this underneath part as well. I think I'm gonna try to get that off with a different method. Same method I plan on using for getting all the rest of this off. I'm gonna do that is these guys right here. Well, probably not that one to start with. But these are just little chisels meant for separating spot welds and body panels and so forth and so on. So all I'm gonna do is kind of wedge this in here. Like so. Get my claw hammer that y'all make fun of me for. Go about it like that. Probably gonna go through a couple of more of these spot welds with the weld cutter, and then yeah, we'll see how it comes out. Time for hyperlapse. Okay, that's out. I'm hot. little out of breath from the banging. Let's take a look and see what we got. For those of you that have done the whole torsion bar crossmember thing before, you will notice there's something not quite right about this. This thing was so rotted out that the previous owners added this U-channel here to kind of strengthen it. As we go upside down, they also added an L bracket here. I'm not so worried about that because replacing the crossmember. All right, I'm going to do a bunch of cleanup off camera, kind of grind away those spot welds, get rid of all the rust and the crap because I don't have any more lights. My lights died. So, it's a new day. New batteries. And yeah, got quite a bit done off camera. Let me show you. So we got the edge of the floor pan separated from the rocker. Also got this edge pulled out. That was fun. Lots of spot welds up in there. Got our frame rail tabs separated from the, words are hard, the torsion bar crossmember, or what's left of it, as well as the one on the bottom. This tab here is completely rotted out, so wasn't even attached. That was actually just clamped with that plate that was on there, which I also removed. So all that's left on this side is this tab, which I'm probably going to take and just I also plan to cut this tab here and here, and then probably just take a sawzall down the side. And that way I can work on getting these tabs off the rocker without all this in the way. Well, that's the plan anyway. But before we get to any of that, I've got to get the driver's side floor pan out. So we got most of the driver's side out. Still need to get rid of this rail here. We see some distinct differences between the driver's side and the passenger. This connection here to the frame rail is definitely more intact. However, our frame rail cap has been eaten away. So we'll probably just snip that off right about here. Add a new piece to come down. Something was definitely living in there because found some mouse house and just all kinds of other stuff. So now I'm gonna have to start working on getting the frame rail free of the torsion bar crossmember so we can get that thing out. Now the top tabs on the other side were pretty much rotted out on their own. These are a little more not rotted. There is some kind of weird protective plate over here, which kind of sucks. I think it's been welded in place. Yeah, that's not going nowhere. So yeah, this side at least is gonna have to come out in pieces. Before I cut it out, I need to put it back exactly where it was. I knew this beforehand, so I had an idea. I'm gonna measure from the very front edge of the socket that our torsion bar slips into, all the way up to the socket where our lower control arm fits into. I think to get a good accurate measurement, I'm just gonna stuff this thing through the back of the socket, bring it up to there, and that is 34 and 13/16. Now, let's do the same thing on the other side, which I'm fairly sure is also 34 and 13/16, because I already measured it before I ever started this progress. I'm just showing you what I did. All right, so my lights are charging again, and I took that time to work on getting the rest of the scrap out. Took out the gas pedal to get it out of my way. That corner kind of sucked a little bit, but I think it's about time to get the torsion bar crossmember out of our way. Go. That's one side down. So all that's left is this bottom tab right here. I think I'm just going to take the cutoff wheel and zip that right there. right, I'm gonna go ahead and sawzall the rest of this side out. Yeah, that's got that support plate on there. And that bad boy is, she's thick. I don't think we're going through that. I has an idea. Bottom tab. Don't really have a whole lot holding it on. Oh yeah. All right, bottom tab is peeling right up. Thinking I just need to get these top tabs off. Let's see if we can grind these spot welds out. Gassing it toasty. Oh yeah. She's peeling right up now. Let's get a little bit of angle in our dangle. Oh, there it goes. Here, pop. One side down. Now we just need to do it again. Wow. That was definitely easier. It looks to me like the torsion bar crossmember is already pretty much separated from the tab. I think I just need to go from underneath and separate it all the way. Turns out, stupid plate is welded to the tab. So much fun. Part of me just wants to cut the tab off, but it's actually in good condition. We can use it for putting the new crossmember in. So, it's off to Harbor Freight I go. Fun. Harbor Freight, where all my problems will be solved. Hopefully. Ooh, all the wonderful things I want. This one, the 2-pack of clamps, cutoff wheels, 1/4-inch die grinder. Uh-oh. Looking for the carbide burr bits. 1, 2. There they are. Okay, so I may have gone a little overboard, but it'll be fine. Now that I have far more things than I needed, I like Harbor Freight. It's time to see if I can't finish getting this torsion bar crossmember car. So after my last week at work and our trip to Harbor Freight yesterday, which turned into a nice dinner date for my wife and I feel like crap today. So if you hear it, I apologize, but I'm not gonna let it stop me. The show must go on. So now I just gotta get this die grinder set up and see if maybe we can get that pesky weld out of our way. All right, now we got our little burr grinder set up. See if we can get this off here. I like it. I'm trying not to dig too much into the frame rail and go more into the torsion bar crossmember. We'll see how it goes. Ah, that wasn't horrible. It actually worked really well. Let me get rid of some of this glitter and I'll show you. You kind of see here where the weld was. We just ground through that without getting, we got through the frame rail a little bit right here, but I don't think it was enough to hurt anything. Now that that side's out, we'll work on this side. So this side gonna be much the same. I'm gonna cut here, across each tab, underneath, and then so I can get to these tabs on the rocker arm. If I remember correctly, I know this and this one are off, the bottom tab's off. I don't remember if this side is off or not. We'll check. But I think you guys have seen enough time lapse, so I'm just gonna knock this out. So this is mostly loose. All that's left are these 4 spot welds, and out she comes. I found that burr grinder was really good at getting through spot welds. I'm just gonna use my Christmas tree bit here. Get her started. Don't want you to walk. You're walking. You're walking. All right, where's punch? Where is punch thingy? Punch thingy is where punch thingies go. Imagine that. I actually put something away. See if that'll hold it in place. Oh yeah, that did it. I'm gonna have to go underneath and separate these with these. Be back in a minute. Two chunks of torsion bar crossmember. From this point, it's just removing some tabs, getting everything cleaned up, and getting ready for the new crossmember to go in. The rest of these surfaces cleaned up pretty nice. Gonna finish the other side, and then I'm probably gonna go inside, lay down, because I'm tired. I hurt. And I'm covered in dark glitter from the carbide bits, and yeah, it itches. Huh? Well, floors and the torsion bar crossmember are out, so I have achieved my goal for this video. If you want to see more videos on this kick-ass car, check out the playlist right here. Goodbye.